change a human being into this.
Long voyage.
95 days in the Ivory Coast.
Into this.
That system is our enemy,
Did you know that the first Matrix was designed to be a perfect human world where none suffered, where everyone would be happy? And it was a disaster. No one would accept the program. Entire crops were lost. Some believed that we lacked the programming language to describe your perfect world, but I believe that as a species, human beings define their reality through misery and suffering. So the perfect world was a dream that your primitive cerebrum kept trying to wake up from. Which is why the Matrix was redesigned to this.
Exactly. What we need to do is stop concentrating, because the guys even in that video you just mentioned, the guys he was speaking to was ignorant. Was that a representative sample?
I know, but time out. Let me ask you a question. Are those not the individuals that need to be helped? Are those not the individuals that need their eyes opened?
I believe in every war there's
going to be casualties.
Yeah, there's going to be casualties of war, and there's people that's going to be helped. But I think that the way to help people, ultimately, is you got to create the institutions to teach people how.
They have to unlearn first and then re-retaught what the truth is.
I'm not against, because my thing is, the whole concept of going to a white school, that's fine. I'm not going to look at a brother because he went to a white school and say, oh, you're trying to be with, no. What makes something a white education to me is when it works in the interest of white people. If you can take your education and everything that you do, you go to a white neighborhood, you're living in a white neighborhood, you're making money for a white man, you ain't established no black institution, then how's your fucking education helping the black community?
Right. Okay, but wait. When does it become about the community? When does it become about self-preservation? Because just like the brother said, there's casualties of wars, and additionally, somebody said earlier, a lot of the black communities like crabs in the barrel. But you know what I'm saying? I'm not going to sacrifice what I built in order to bring somebody up who's just going to bring me down.
Okay, but if
it's not like HBCUs don't exist.
If you're talking about self-preservation, what do you mean? Like, are you saying that fuck the black community, I got to get mine? Because if that's the case, why are you looking for our support?
Looking for whose support?
Why would if a person's mentality is, all right, black people are just too fucked up, I got to do what I got to do, fuck the black community, I'm got to take care of me. I don't have a problem with that necessarily. What I have a problem with is, why are you expecting applause and accolades? Do you?
I don't know if anybody's expecting applause and accolades. I think, you know what? I'll take that back, because it's just like I was watching another Blog Talk radio show, and there was a girl up there, and she was talking about how all the educated men want they want medals. She was saying they want medals, and I was sitting and I was thinking about it. You know, she was like, they want medals for what they're supposed to do, and I was like, but here's the difference. They want medals because in the context of the black community, they're going above and beyond. If all the niggas ain't shit, if they're all in and out of jail, if they're all deadbeat dads, and these brothers are on point, and their fathers to their children, they're going against the norm, because the norm, the perceived norm, is all the negative stuff. So they want a medal. Now, in the context of, okay, let's say the white community, it would just be normal. It would be normal in the sense of, yeah, they're doing what they're supposed to do. In the white community, in the black community, because this is negative perception about everything that we do, then all of a sudden it becomes, oh, now it's not normal, now I want a cookie. You know what I'm saying? Now I want praise. You know what I'm saying? Like the women that go up to how many times have you had if you don't have kids, I don't have kids. If you had a woman, she comes up to you and she goes, you got any kids? And you say, no, I don't have any kids. And she's like, oh, really? And she looks at you like there's something wrong with you. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, no, I don't have any kids. There's no rings on my finger. I'm not married. I don't plan on having kids until I get married. Not to put anybody down, but I'm just saying that's just how I was raised.
So basically,
but
you're basically saying, and I agree with you, that the norm is dysfunctional.
The norm is dysfunctional, and that's my point about saying that's why I'm saying that it's bigger of a problem in our community than so it seems in other communities, and why I'm saying that you have to the people who are on top essentially should be helping the people on the so-called, bottom. There's black people that act like there is no bottom to the black community. I'm like, okay, if I'm not on top, who's on the bottom? Okay, but I'm saying, how are you going to do that if they're rejecting what you're bringing to the table because they think that it's white?
Well, I can answer that.
Go ahead.
You got to change the way in which you help people.
Mm-hmm.
All right, take for instance, you got an ignorant person who's got that mentality. How do you help them? What are you going to do to help them? I'm asking a question. Like, what would you do personally to help that ignorant person?
Well, if there's only one way I know how to help them, the only way I know how to help them is the only way I know how to help them. And the only way I know how to help them would be through what the philosophies and the ideologies that many people would say is white, simply because I say be on the straight and narrow.
Okay, but how would you inject that into their life? By talking to them? What would you do to help them? Even if it's a white ideology, how would you influence that person to do what it is that you're saying they need to do?
They have to be willing to listen.
The first matrix I designed was quite naturally perfect. It was a work of art, flawless, sublime, a triumph equaled only by its monumental failure. The inevitability of its doom is apparent to me now as a consequence of the imperfection inherent in every human being. Thus I redesigned it, based on your history, to more accurately reflect the varying grotesqueries of your nature. However, I was again frustrated by failure. I have since come to understand that the answer eluded me because it required a lesser mind, or perhaps a mind less bound by the parameters of perfection. Thus, the answer was stumbled upon by another, an intuitive program, initially created to investigate certain aspects of the human psyche. If I am the father of the Matrix, she would undoubtedly be its mother. As I was saying, she stumbled upon a solution whereby nearly 99% of all test subjects accepted the program as long as they were given a choice, even if they were only aware of the choice at a near unconscious level.
When the sheep are scattered in the field, you do not go to each individual sheep and berate it for being out of order. You look for the shepherd. Within the context of a system, the sheep are the subjects and the shepherd is the architect. An architect incorporates the differences of the subjects and designs it into a system so that the subjects accept the programming. To argue with the subjects and try to force them to listen or to try to force them to accept the programming makes the architect a bad programmer. What a true architect does is redesign the system so that the subjects will accept the programming.